Welcome to the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. We discuss 6 questions in 9 minutes because leaders know how to be concise. Let's get started with our guest today. Our first question, in a few sentences, tell us who you are and what you do.
I am Jenn Sanders. I'm a Salesforce declarative developer at IBM, and that means that I develop automation and applications with clicks, not code, on the Salesforce platform. And before that, prior to that, too, I ran a small consultancy for 9 years where I built company culture over 10 time zones. We had a fully distributed team.
Wow.
And so got to learn those challenges of team building with remote people. And I also hold a master's in education. And as a piece of trivia, I speak 4 languages.
Wow, which 4?
Puedo hablar español bastante bien. Ich kann ein bisschen Deutsch sprechen. And yo parlo un poco italiano.
So Italian, and was it Dutch? Was that the middle?
German.
Yeah. German. I was not really close, but wow, well done. That's quite an accomplishment.
Thank you.
Well, Jen, let's go to our next question. What's the best thing about working with a team?
So my personal favorite is the feeling of shared victory that we get as a team when we launch, especially a long, arduous project. And one thing I like to say, a metaphor I like to use when I'm kicking off a project is I say, okay, team, there's a mountain over here and we're all going to go together and we're going to conquer this mountain. And then we do, and we get to the top all together and we look around, and the panorama of a successful project is non-parallel. It's untouchable.
I like that success is a team and they get to share that success together. That's fantastic. Question number 3, I hear from other leaders of teams that it can be a challenge to get team members engaged. Tell us your thoughts.
Yes, absolutely. And I would say engagement of the team is possibly the number 1 key to a successful project. Making sure that everyone knows their piece of the puzzle and knows how to do it completely. And so when I'm running teams, well, first, the daily check-in or scrum or stand-up, whatever you would like to call it, those are irreplaceable in keeping everyone engaged and on point and knowing what the other hand's doing. And it's important not only to pay attention to what's being said, but also what's not being said. If there's a quiet person that you notice never says anything on your calls, you can reach out during the meeting and with a question, not to put them on the spot, but to get them talking. And if they're particularly shy, it behooves to reach out maybe privately and say, hey, are you getting everything that you need? Do you have questions, or are there any points of confusion you can use more clarity on? And I find that a personal touch really does do the trick.
That is a great idea. I really like that idea of reaching out to people, especially those that are a little bit quieter, and just making sure that, first of all, they're doing okay, but also to give them an opportunity to share, because a lot of people, they won't. You're right. They won't share unless they're kind of called on. And but I like your approach of talking to them first and making sure they're okay with that. Great ideas. Great ideas. Question number 4, what other piece of advice do you have for leaders of teams?
My best piece of advice would be cookies are free. People work for cookies, and cookies are free. So give them out liberally. And by cookies, I mean positive feedback and encouragement. And just like a cookie, which is best fresh out of the oven, positive feedback is also best when given immediately and very specifically, not just to say, hey, great job, but to say, hey, you did this particular thing really well, and I appreciate that. And that's a huge help for moving this project forward. So cookies,
That's a
give them
great
out.
idea. I like that. And I like that analogy of cookies as well. So fantastic. Question number 5, what other successful leaders of teams would you like to recognize that have had a positive influence in your life?
So probably my first manager, her name is Wendy Washington. She was at Dun& Bradstreet, and she got me, before I came there, I didn't have a tech background, and she believed in me that I had potential to grow and succeed, and always took care to give me special projects that would build my portfolio of skills and knowledge, and it worked. Also, Craig Walpert, my current project manager, is amazing. He gets everybody going. He's great on team engagement, and every day we get up and go get the job done and conquer the mountain. So he's amazing. Also, my super boss, who's boss of my boss, his name is Jeff, and I really believe in his leadership. He's got great ideas for taking us forward, and takes a long view rather than just what happens next quarter, but he really thinks far ahead. And also my CIO, Pleasure Previn, is also a total inspiration. So.
Oh, that's great. Well, thank you so much for recognizing all of those individuals. Clearly, they've had a great impact on you, a positive impact. So that is great.
Absolutely.
Well, last question. Tell us about your first job.
My first job was very different than what I do now. I was at a little elementary school for Austin ISD, teaching autistic kindergartners how to read. And that was that was a unique challenge of a year. And my experience there, in the magical way that life tends to come back and circle back on itself, today that informs my work with neurodiversity at IBM, which is kind of a new movement. And so it all just kind of comes together. So
It all lined up very nicely for you. That is perfect. Jenn, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. How can people find you?
You can find me on LinkedIn. I am linkedin.com/in/JennForce. And on Twitter, I am at JennForce.
Very good. This is Sean Richards with the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. For more ideas, go to teamengagementpodcast.com. Again, that's teamengagementpodcast.com. Thanks so much for joining us today. Have a great day.